Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'nin Prestijli Üniversitesi University of Plymouth'ta eğitim fırsatlarını Ana ve Josh'tan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Anna, the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, Zeynep. Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining my session here today. As Zeynep said, my name is Anna and I work for the University of Plymouth. I'm a regional manager in our international office. And normally I would be, traveling probably to Turkey at this time of year. I would be there in Istanbul and Izmir, meeting you face to face. But of course, this year, as the last year, hasn't really been not normal at all. And so we are still doing it via the internet and via Zoom or via other platforms. But at least we have the chance to talk to each other. And that brings me to the very first thing that I would like to say is that on the bottom or on the right hand side of your computer, you will see that there's a chat option, and I can see there's quite a few chats going on already. There's also a question option. So please feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And I will answer them in the end. With me should be a colleague of mine, Josh Bird, but we are having some technical problems with him connecting. So hopefully he will come and join us a little bit later, and he would also be able to answer some of your questions as we are speaking here. And I do have to apologize in advance because I will need to leave this session at 2:45 because I managed to double book myself and I have to rush over to Norway. Well, I've got another session, but this is why Josh has volunteered to join me, and he will then take the questions or answer your questions if there are still some unanswered after I have left. So I'm going to share with you my screen, and Josh is trying to get online, as I can see. I'm going to, there we go. You should all be able to see my presentation now. So as I said, and also put in my chat function there already, my contact details are a.woodke@plymouth.ac.uk, but you can also contact the international office through that email address there as well. And please do feel free to contact either me or my colleagues with any questions that you may have. So what are we going to be doing today? Hopefully I won't be taking too much of your time. I'll try to keep it to about 20 minutes that I'm talking, so about 20-25 minutes. I'll talk a little bit about the university, about the courses that we are offering, not every single one, because otherwise we would be sitting here tomorrow and you would hate me. I will also talk about practical things like the fees and living expenses. And then no presentation or talk these days would be fully complete if you don't mention at least COVID once or twice. So I'll talk a little bit about our good old friend, the COVID. And then last but not least, you will have the chance to get your questions answered. And as I said, I've got with me my lovely colleague, Josh, who hopefully will be able to answer your questions either as we are going along through this presentation or at the end after I have left you. So just to give you a very general introduction into the University of Plymouth, we are a medium-sized university. We have about 20,000 students on campus. Of those 20,000 students, about 3,000 are international students, and they come from over 100 different countries in the world. We always welcome Turkish students on campus, and we tend to have around 10 new starters every year from Turkey. Of course, 21 and 2020 have been very different and difficult also for students to start anywhere in the UK. So the numbers are not as high as they would have been for students coming from Turkey. But hopefully in the years to come, we will be able to welcome many more of you back onto campus. One of the questions always being asked is about ranking, and you will find so many different rankings tables out there. And one thing you definitely should be doing is look at the subject that you are interested in studying. And what you will find in Plymouth, or for Plymouth, is that in most subjects we will be ranking sort of in the middle of UK universities, but then there are some subjects where we really are incredibly strong and really well known for, and that would be without a doubt anything that's got to do with the marine sciences and marine biology, maritime business, these kind of things. Another thing that we are very proud of in Plymouth is that we are trying to organize our studies as practical as possible. So not only will students have a chance to do a placement in most of our courses, either a year-long placement or short placements, but also what we are teaching in our courses very often will have been informed by the businesses, by the real life, by the industries that will take in our students after they have graduated. For those of you who don't know where Plymouth is, don't worry. I didn't know where Plymouth really is until I moved here about 16 years ago. It's a very long time ago, and I guess the reason why I'm still here is because it actually is a really beautiful part of the country. Most of you, however, will know of London. It's down here, and most of our students tend to fly into London, and then you take the train or you take the bus, and 3.5 hours later on a direct line to London, you would end up in Plymouth. Plymouth itself is a medium-sized city for UK standards, so we have about 300,000 people. Of course, for Turkish standards, this is not really a city at all when you're thinking of Istanbul and Izmir. But for the UK, 300,000 is sort of a medium-sized city. And we are, as I said, around 3 hours away from London. We are in the southwest of England, which means that we have a relatively nice and warm climate. Nothing like the climate that you would get in places like Izmir, where it's always sunny and always beautiful and warm, but still we tend to have every sort of relatively warm winters and warm summers. We don't really get any snow or any frost here in Plymouth. Plymouth itself has branded itself as Britain's Ocean City, and you'll see in a minute why that is the case. And the campus of the university is in the city centre. So when you look at this map here, you will see those pink parts. That is the university campus. And then this purple part here is the city centre, where there's shopping centres, shops, banks, cafes, restaurants, everything that you would expect. And then down here is the sea. So basically it's only a 10 minutes walk from the university down, and you would be at the beautiful, beautiful seaside, which is down here in the back. Normally I would have a technical thing where we now come up with a virtual tour of the university, but I do have technical issues here as well. So all I can tell you is please, if whatever we are saying here today is inspiring for you, please take your time, go onto the website of the university. There is a virtual tour of the campus, and it gives you a really good idea of the facilities in the surrounding area that we have. The campus is mostly purpose-built. So you've got down here, for instance, that's the Faculty of Arts building with performing arts, teaching acting and theatre performance. We have put in a proper theatre, an art gallery for those students who are studying arts and then might be exhibiting their arts later as well. So when you walk around the campus, you will see that it is very much a very modern campus. Down here, you'll see that it's a student village, so the halls of residence are there where students live, most of the time the first-year students. And as I said, it's just a little stroll through the city centre. This here is the city centre, that's the big shopping centre here, and you are by the sea. There we go. As I said earlier, we would normally get about 10, 15 students from Turkey each year, and they tend to study a variety of courses. Those two that I have here, Burak and Erhan, they are both of them have studied a business-related subject, and they have studied a maritime business shipping subject, which tends to be very, very popular with our Turkish students. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about all the programs that we offer, but don't worry, I'm not going to go into detail of every single program because, as I said, then we would be sitting still here tomorrow morning. What I will do is I will highlight those programs which tend to be quite popular with our Turkish students, and also those where I think they really should be interesting to students joining us from Turkey. We have 3 big faculties at the University of Plymouth, and the first faculty that I'm going to talk about is the Faculty of Science and Engineering. Now, that clues in the title, basically everything which is either a applied science or a pure science, and anything engineering related will be taught within this faculty. So in engineering, traditionally, it would be either electrical engineering or robotics, which is of interest for Turkish students. However, we also had Turkish students doing one specific subject on mechanical engineering, which is the maritime and marine technology. So that has been taken up by Turkish students in the past. Robotics is probably the closest to mechatronics, which tends to be a very popular subject to study for students from Turkey. It goes without saying that all the courses that I'm talking about here, all the subject areas that I'm talking about, are normally sort of offered both an undergraduate and postgraduate level. So either for a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a PhD degree. As I said earlier, marine and ocean sciences is one of our very strong areas. So we tend to get a very good number of international students doing marine biology, hydrography, marine conservation, all of those. And computing and mathematics, probably one of the most popular current courses would be the postgraduate cybersecurity, but also the business, the data modeling and business analytics, which is again a 1-year postgraduate program. And in the School of Earth, Geography and Environment, it would be the environmental sciences management, which is quite popular with our Turkish students. And then we also have the pure sciences, as I said, biology and chemistry that we teach in that faculty as well. So the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Business is the second faculty, and as you can see, it's quite a diverse one. So we have everything in green here, which has got to do with the arts. So we have creative arts, starting with design and architecture, but also performing arts, English, humanities, those kind of subjects. Turkish students would probably be most interested in the architecture program that we have, both on undergraduate and postgraduate level, where we are teaching the BA architecture or the MA architecture. As I said, this tends to be the most popular programs within that area for our students from Turkey. Of course, you won't be surprised when I tell you that business is a very popular subject. And if you're interested in studying business, you can normally either study something quite general like business management, or you can start something quite specific, something like international shipping or like human resource management, or tourism hospitality. Again, it's an example of a very focused and a very specific subject. Both on undergraduate and postgraduate level, you will have the opportunity to either do a general subject like the business management or one of those specialized subjects. So it really is completely up to you to decide if you want to focus and specialize at postgraduate level or already on undergraduate level. And last but not least, in that faculty, there's also the subject area that teaches international relations and politics and law as well. And specifically on postgraduate level, international relations, which focuses on global security, tends to be popular with our Turkish students. But we also have seen students doing our MA education, which is a 1-year education program that we offer as well. And again, as I said, it's normally 1 or 2 students from Turkey that are studying the MA education. The last but not least faculty is the Faculty of Health. And here you will find all the programs that have anything to do with health, medicine, with health professions and nursing. So the first and quite the first area I'm going to talk about or just mention is the biomedical sciences, again on undergraduate or postgraduate level for those students who are generally interested in the sciences and want to have a career in medical research. They would probably choose the biomedical sciences as either the undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. Health professions are things like occupational therapy, like physiotherapy, dietetics. Those are, again, courses that we offer on undergraduate and postgraduate level, and graduates from the health professions would normally work in a medical setting, often also in hospitals where they are doing the rehabilitation of patients, or they're working in a diabetes ward where they are working with patients who've got diabetes. So it's quite diverse. The health professions can be incredibly fascinating because they are so diverse. And then we do offer the bachelors of medicine and surgery and dental surgery as well. On undergraduate level, that's the 5-year medical program. A word of warning, or 2 words of warning. First of all, it's very, very difficult to get into those programs, although they are obviously always very popular. And second of all, they're also very expensive to study. So if you are interested in the undergraduate medicine and dentistry, I would definitely advise you to go onto our website. And to be honest and realistic, unless you're studying either the IB program or the A-level program, the chances of getting into either of those programs are relatively small. But that school, the medical school, also has postgraduate level like the global health, where we do welcome international students open-armed. Then we've got the School of Nursing. We don't seem to get that much interest for nursing from Turkey. The only program that is popular in the School of Nursing for our Turkish students would be the postgraduate 1-year nursing program, which is a post-registration nursing program. Psychology is the last school here, and we have one of the most popular programs for our Turkish students in this school, and that is our Msc Clinical Psychology, which is a 1-year postgraduate program, which puts students onto the path or starts them off on the path of becoming clinical psychologists. However, I do want to remind you here that if you do want to work as a clinical psychologist in the UK, that would not be enough. You would need to do a 3 years doctor's in clinical psychology. But if you want to go back and practice clinical psychology in Turkey, that would be the right program for you to study. Right. Most of our programs, or nearly all of our programs, would traditionally start in September. So the undergraduate programs and the postgraduate taught programs would start normally around this time of year, maybe 2-3 weeks later or 2 weeks later. However, because of COVID, we have learned to become a little bit more flexible, which is a good thing. And so we are also offering some courses on with the January start. So there might be some amongst you who didn't quite make the September start or wanted to wait and see what the situation is going to be like. And you say, okay, I've finished my degree, but I'm still interested in starting, in January this year. So especially the business school has been very cooperative, and they put on quite a few degrees that start in January as well. And on the left-hand side here, those are the top-up programs. Let's say if you've got an associate degree from a Turkish university and you want to top it up to make it a full degree, then that would be an option for you to do as well. Normally they start in September, but now some of them also start in January. So what would you need in order to get into the university with your academic background in Turkey? For undergraduate students, you would normally have finished your lise, and most of the programs will accept you if you got a very good final year at your high school. However, some courses will require you to do a foundation, and you can do the foundation with us here in Plymouth. For postgraduate, taught postgraduate courses, the master courses, depending on the course that you want to study, but also the university that you have studied in Turkey at, we are asking between a 2.4 and a 3 from your bachelor's degree. And of course, you must show that you also have a good English language skills. And normally we would be asking you either for an IELTS of 6 for undergraduate programs or 6.5 for postgraduate programs, or the equivalent of an IELTS. The Pearson's test, for instance, would be okay as well. But do remember that some programs, especially the health and medical programs, ask for a higher IELTS. That would be marked on the website. If you go onto each of the programs, and there it would say it's of entry requirements, and it would say if it's not the standard entry requirements. And also please remind that if you want to do any, remember if you want to do any of the creative arts programs, that often they will ask for a portfolio or for an audition, or for an interview held via Zoom. But all of those details are on the website. As I mentioned, if you can't get into the first year of your studies and we ask you to do a foundation, you can do this in Plymouth. The good thing about doing the foundation in Plymouth would be that you really are here already on campus. You're mixing with other students who are in the first, second, and third year. If you're studying at our international college here in Plymouth, you are a University of Plymouth student. You have access to all the facilities like other students. And the progression rate from our foundation to the first year of studies is normally higher than 95%. So nearly every single student who does a foundation with us then goes on to do their first and second and then final year at the university. I have highlighted those areas where we also offer a pre-master's, meaning that if you haven't got the right grades for a bachelor's degree and you need to improve it a little bit, you get the option to do that as well. And those subject areas where we offer a pre-master's are the ones in red. And as you can see, with the black ones and the red ones together, we basically nearly every single subject that we offer, with the exception of medicine, we do offer a foundation. As I said, we will talk a little bit about the finances, because that, of course, is a question which will be very important for you. Our undergraduate degrees at the moment cost £14,600 per year, and we don't make a difference between classroom-based or laboratory-based programs, at least on undergraduate level. On postgraduate level, we make this difference, and there the classroom-based programs are £2,000, and the band 2, which is the laboratory-based ones, would be £16,700. This is for the entire master program, because in the UK, normal master programs are not just 1 year and not 2 years. So within 12 months, basically after starting your degree, you would normally graduate as well. And you would pay for the 1 year of teaching tuition fees, either £15,700 or £16,700. For visa purposes, you also will need to show that you've got the means to support yourself. You are allowed to work part-time as an international student, but when you apply for the visa back in Turkey, they will ask to see proof that you can actually cover, that you can look after yourself whilst you're with us, at least for the first year. And so they are saying £1,015 a month that you should have available to yourself. If anyone in Plymouth actually spend that amount of money on their living expenses, they would be living like little queens and kings, because hardly anyone actually really would spend, of our students would spend that amount of money for their living expenses. So in reality, when it comes to making your budgets, keeping in mind that the living costs in Plymouth are much lower than in other parts of the country. And if you're budgeting between £700 and £800 a month, then you still have a very, very good lifestyle in Plymouth. Good news is we do have international scholarships available. The information for that is on the website. Generally speaking, we are making a difference between automatic scholarships and those scholarships that you need to apply for. We have both for both undergraduate and postgraduate courses. And the automatic one, you normally just have to exceed the conditions that we make. So if we say, okay, you must have a GPA of 2.8 and you have a GPA of 3, then you would get an automatic scholarship awarded with your offer letter. And all you basically have to be is a good student. And if you are an absolutely excellent student, then you really should look out for our excellence scholarship, which is 50% of the tuition fees. And not only for the first year, but it can also be for the second and third year of your studies if you're doing an undergraduate degree. However, please make double sure that the course that you want to study actually offers that scholarship, because it's up to each school to decide if they want to participate in the scholarship scheme or not. And so you have to make double sure that the school that you would be studying at actually is participating in the scholarship scheme. And it's also worth looking around if the school that you want to study at offers other scholarships, like our School of Psychology, for instance. They have a £4,000 scholarship scheme for both the undergraduate and postgraduate studies. And also please keep in mind those scholarships do change every single year. So if you're now looking to start in 2022, make sure that you're starting to look for the scholarships already. And if you're wanting to start in 2023, then it might already have changed by then. So always make sure that you're up to date with what we have to offer with regards to scholarships. I'm going to talk a little bit about accommodation, not too much. And the reason why I am talking about accommodation is firstly, because you want to know where you're going to be living. And secondly, the accommodation costs are probably the highest portion of your living expenses. We normally differentiate between two different kinds of accommodation. One would be university managed and the other one would be privately managed. University managed accommodation is a stone throw away from the main teaching buildings. So this, again, when we come back to this map, this is basically the campus, or where most of the teaching facilities are. And then just across the road, you would find our halls of residence. Just want to let you know that we do not have specifically postgraduate halls of residence. There are some halls of residence which have the option for postgraduate students to rent a room, but the majority of our accommodation, of the university's accommodation, is really for undergraduate students. So please keep that in the back of your mind. Also, we don't have shared accommodations or shared rooms. It tends to be single rooms, and most of them also have ensuite bathrooms. If you're on a little bit of a tight budget, it definitely is worth looking into the non-university managed accommodation, because that tends to be a little bit cheaper. So we either have private halls of residence, or we have rooms in student houses, which are normally within 10 minutes or so walk from campus. I'm saying walk from campus because in Plymouth, we are very fortunate in being able to walk nearly everywhere where we need to go. We do have buses, we do have cars and bicycles and all of that, but you actually don't need to use them most of the time. So our students tend to enjoy the fresh air and tend to walk from their accommodation to the university campus. Last but not least, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening at the moment with regards to COVID. Of course, the university has always followed government rules and guidelines with how we are conducting our teaching and research on campus. And we also had, of course, the main and key principle of keeping both our students and our staff safe. Now, at the moment, in the UK, the government has lifted all rules. No, in England, because there's a difference between England and Scotland. In England, there are no rules concerning COVID with regards to social distancing. So we do not have to wear masks. We do not have to stay 2 meters away from someone. We don't have to have one-way systems in place so that people don't get too close to each other. All of those restrictions that we were facing last year have been lifted. And there's only some rules left with regards to immigration. That's for students arriving in the UK. And at the moment, Turkey has the highest restrictions. So students arriving from Turkey would have to isolate in in government managed hotels. But if you're looking at 2022, all of this might have changed. So not only keep up to date sort of with the university website, but please also keep up to date with the government's website as well. What we do, of course, is we very strongly encourage our students to try to keep everyone else around them safe. So although we don't tell them you must wear masks, we recommend that you wear masks. We recommend that our students take 2 or 3 tests a week. We have home tests, which are free of charge. And both staff and students are very strongly encouraged to do regular tests, just to make sure that you're not passing anything on that you shouldn't be passing on with regards to COVID. And of course, we at the moment are in a very fortunate situation that nearly 80% of the UK population has been fully vaccinated, and students joining us from abroad who aren't vaccinated have the possibility to get vaccinated free of charge through our National Health Service as well. And that again is something that we as a university would very, very much recommend and encourage our students to do. So what's happening at the moment is that in the next week or so, our students will come back onto campus, which will be fantastic to have life returning to campus. What we have kept, though, is the option, especially for international students, to enroll online, not for all courses, but for most courses. And that is taken into consideration that not everyone will be able to get here on campus, or because all students have to do self-isolation. So that's what we are still, that's where we are still very flexible. But apart from that, we hope to have a campus life and the student life as normal as it possibly can be. And let's hope we can keep it like that for a long time. But as I said, if students can't make it to us at the moment, there is the chance for them to enroll and start online. This takes me to the end of my presentation. As I said, I was trying to make it not too busy and not too long. I hope I didn't speak too fast. If you had some problems following me, please feel free to send a question into the question box here. And as I said, there's also my contact details there as well, should you want to drop me an email later. And I've got now another 5 to 10 minutes until I need to shoot off and go to Norway. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the sharing. There we go. I'm still here. And Josh, are you online now as well?
Hi there. Yeah, hopefully you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. I'm going to leave my web camera off because that seemed to be the issue last time. So it'll just be my voice, unfortunately.
Okay, right. So just to remind you, Josh, the questions, the oldest questions are on the bottom and the latest questions are on top. And I can see that you have answered some of them already. How is the campus accommodation fees? Shall I just start then with the ones which aren't answered yet?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead, and then I can take
Yeah, shall I just do that? So how is campus accommodation fees? Is it moderate, affordable than outside campus options? Now, this is what I said earlier, sort of generally speaking, our accommodation tends to be cheaper than in other parts of the country. If you are on a budget, on a slightly tighter budget, I would definitely say that you should be looking for off-campus accommodation. So what you probably would be doing is you look at a room which is in a house with other students, and there you can it can start at around £80 a week, £85 a week. So you're looking between £250 and £300 a month for accommodation, including your bills, but not your food bills. Or the figures that you saw earlier, they do not include the food bills, but they do include your water bill, electricity, and these kind of things. So if you're on a little bit of a tight budget, as I said, you could be looking at around £350 a month for your accommodation, and that would normally be your own room, but you share a bathroom with other students in the house, and you also have a living room with them as well, and you would walk to campus between 5 and 10 minutes walk. So that was hopefully answers the question to that. There is a website specifically for accommodation, so if you have any questions, that they will probably be answered there as well. So Semra is asking whether there are internship opportunities. That very much depends on the course that you are taking. Generally speaking, if you're doing an undergraduate degree, between the second and the final year, there tends to be the option that you do a placement year, which is where you're staying still a student, you're a registered student, but you're not doing any courses, but you are basically in the industry and you're working like an intern. This is not guaranteed. It's not that the university will give you an internship. Any kind of placement or internship you will always have to apply for, because that's real life as well. No one in real life, once you have graduated, say, there we go, Semra, take this job. And so you will have to work to get a job. And in that respect, placements and internships work quite similar. There are other elements within the course as well, where you might just go for a week. Those would be shorter internships which are part of the program, or you have speakers from the industry coming in. So instead of someone who's an academic, you actually have someone who is a lawyer talking about legal practices, doing that kind of thing. Or if you're talking about the shipping, international shipping logistics, you will have a shipbroker coming in and talking to the students from their perspective as employers. So we are trying to make our courses as real life, close to real life as possible. The next question then is about placements as well, whether there is job help, whether there's for graduates. Again, sort of, we will not give you a job, but what we are trying to do is we're trying to bring you in contact with potential employers. So there are recruitment fairs that the university holds at the end, normally, or towards the end of the academic year. And of course, we also have a network of alumni where our students can become a part of the network as well. And then there is a very strong network as well between the university academics and employers as well, staying with the shipping logistics, for instance, or the maritime business. I do know that employers do phone up the academics and ask for students to graduate, to send them their directions. Some, as always, as you would expect, some courses will, or, you know, some areas where you graduate from will take a little bit longer to find a job. Others, you're basically just snapped away. But we are trying to prepare you as much as possible in order to be successful in the job market. And of course, if you're coming on a student visa to the UK, not just to Plymouth, but to the UK, you are allowed to remain with that student visa in the UK for 2 years after your studies and seek employment. So that has actually made the has made the UK a much more attractive place to study than it used to be. And we as universities are very, very happy that our graduates actually have the chance to start their careers here in the UK. And so you don't just take back a degree, but you also take back, if you are choosing to take back, an experience, a work experience with you. The next question that we've got is whether the robotics program is an engineering course. It is in the School of Engineering, and of course it combines different areas of electrical engineering, a little bit of computing, a little bit of artificial intelligence, and mechanical engineering as well. So it probably is the closest to what you have like mechatronics in Turkey, if that was the question that you wanted to ask. But it is taught in the School of Engineering. And also the title that you would get is a BEng, which is a bachelor's in engineering, or if you're doing a 4 years integrated master program that we offer as well, it would be an MEng, a master's in engineering. What is the minimum GPA requirement for science and engineering programs? Is asking Faisal. Faisal, I don't know whether you're looking in postgraduate or undergraduate degrees. If it is for postgraduate programs, we would be looking at the university that you're coming from, because as you know, if you're, for instance, studying at Istanbul Technical University, it is very, very hard to get a high GPA from Istanbul Technical, whereas it might be a little bit easier from other universities. So we are normally starting at around 2.4, but it might go up to 3. So it very much depends on where you've done your first degree in. And if it's an undergraduate program, then we probably are looking at around 75% from your lise, but you must have the science and maths on a very high score. And then Josh has answered a question about architecture, which is fantastic. Josh, it is 1:45 nearly, and I will need to leave. Are you ready to take over from here?
Yes, I could take over from this point.
So you got the gist of it, basically, just working your way up through the questions. I have to say to all of you, thank you very, very much for listening to me and for your patience and for joining us. Josh will stay with you and he will answer your questions. And I thank Josh very much as well. And I do thank my colleagues and friends from IEFT that they have enabled me and us to speak to you today. Please feel free to come onto our website, send us an email, and please do stay on to ask Josh the questions that you have. So I say goodbye now, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll be able to see you here in Plymouth, or I can see some of you in person in Turkey either this year or the beginning of next year. Okay, take care. Thank you, Josh.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna, and good afternoon, everyone. As Anna has said, I am one of her colleagues within the international office, and I've visited Turkey on a number of occasions at this point to assist with her in our recruitment of international students from your country. So I do have a familiarity with the region. So continuing on from some of the questions which Anna has already answered there, one here saying, what are the most popular majors for international students? So it is quite varied. One of the major benefits that the University of Plymouth offers is that we are known as a comprehensive university, which means, as Anna showed you during the presentation, we do have courses from across all walks of life, from engineering, robotics, through to the science and medical backgrounds, onto business studies and business management, through to marine exploration and navigation. Very few universities in the UK are that widely varied. But regarding the most popular areas in which we directly recruit international students to at the moment, those would primarily be our business programs, particularly into international business management and into business studies. From there, we get a large number of students, particularly from Turkey, coming into our engineering programs, with robotics being one of the most popular programs, and then a few into our design and medical courses. But I'd say our primary, most popular program at the moment is into business management. And I also had a student here who was asking on the progression route, the actual process of going from a associate degree through to an undergraduate degree and transferring over to the UK. So the process for you there would be you would, your associate degree currently is the equivalent to what is known as a higher national diploma in the UK. And what we would do is take you onto one of our top-up programs. So in the UK, a standard bachelor's degree would be 3 years in total. And for you to achieve the bachelor's status, it is during your final year of study. So we would look at taking you as a transfer student directly into our final year business program. So we have a number of those through from international business, business management, marketing, finance, and human resources. So depending on if you are looking for a more generalized business study background at this point, we would look at the business management or international business. or if you were looking at looking a bit more specified into something like finance or human resources or marketing, we would then take you into one of those. We would look at your current degree level, the GPA you've achieved during your associate degree modules, and look at the classes you've taken, and as long as they are satisfactory for our programs, then we would look at taking you in at that level. Okay, we have another question here for do many students live off campus? So I was an international student, I was a domestic student, at Plymouth University, and typically in the UK during your first year of your degree, particularly with your bachelor's degrees, your undergraduate degrees, we recommend that you come and live on the university managed accommodation, which is also known as the halls of residence. Now, these are slightly more expensive, as Anna spoke about during the presentation, than the privately managed accommodation. However, because you are based on campus, directly in the middle of everything, it is very easy to navigate around the university to get between classes and get back to your accommodation if you have an hour spare, for example. Whereas living off campus, although the accommodation is typically very close to the university, obviously it will take a little bit longer. So do keep that in mind. So we tend to recommend, if you're entering into your first year of your undergraduate degree, come and live on campus. And then what typically happens in the UK is, as you finish your first year and start your second year at university, or into your first year of your master's degree, we tend to recommend for those students to move directly into private accommodation. So don't look at living on campus in your second year or your master's degree or your postgraduate program, but live in the local private accommodation, because it is a lot more affordable. We know you've had at least 1 year's experience in the university lifestyle, and you should feel a little bit more comfortable with getting to lectures on time, for example, and meeting up with your fellow students in the library or the students' union to have meetings to talk about coursework. So at that stage, we recommend you live in private housing, which again does significantly drop the cost there. It will fall from approximately £120 to £150 per week in public university managed halls, down to about £80 to £100 per week. So it is quite a significant drop in cost there. So do keep that in mind. Okay, and we have another question here. How is the pandemic situation in the UK? New semester would be online on campus. So as Anna mentioned at the end of her presentation there, we are currently expecting most students to be on campus for the start of term. Obviously, it's September now, and we're actually undergoing our International Orientation Week this week, starting today at the University of Plymouth. So for the students who are coming to the university for September 21 entry, they'll begin their university time today. However, obviously, looking forward into 1 year's time, 12 months, that is a long way away, and the situation will change during that time. There is an expectation at this point that we will have almost all students on campus for 22 entry, September 22 entry. The current general situation of the pandemic here in the UK, as Anna mentioned, the number of guidelines that we had in place over the last year have now been removed in August, such as the need for social distancing, the requirements for you to wear masks indoors or in public areas. Those have now been removed. However, on campus, although we don't require it, we do recommend that you wear your mask indoors, and if you're in your lectures, for example, just as a courtesy to fellow students. And also we do have testing on site on the university campus for students, which currently we recommend you get tested twice per week. The date is up to you. If you choose to have it on a Monday and then a Wednesday, for example, that's what I would do personally. and those sites are on campus. You receive your results the next day, so that you can know if you've been exposed to anyone, for example, or if you are looking at traveling around the UK. There are no restrictions for public transport at the moment. You can travel across to other areas of the UK, back and forth to London. There are no restrictions for public transport. So hopefully that makes things a little bit clearer there. And we have one question here. Could you please inform me if you have any tips for statement for the application? So I think there you're referring to the personal statement, which is part of your application to UK universities. This is typically a one-sided A4 page, just explaining about you. It's your sales pitch to the university as a student. Why should we pick you for this course that you're applying to? Now, this will vary depending on the course you're looking to study. For example, if you are looking at something specifically within the medical field, a lot of our medical applications, particularly our Bachelor's of Medicine program, is very oversubscribed. It is a very competitive course, and our tutors will pay a lot of attention to the personal statement. In that specific situation, I recommend you talk about any previous work experience that you've taken place in, if you have any background in it, the desires and the reasoning that you've picked that subject. Obviously for medicine that is pretty straightforward, but that can be a little bit harder for students who are looking at studying, for example, business studies. It's a bit hard to talk about your passion and the reasoning you want to go into human resources, for example. In those cases, I would talk about your high school experience, if you were part of any clubs or any social groups during your time at high school. Definitely talk about that, and any situations where you've had to showcase certain attributes which are quite attractive to university, such as leadership skills or working within a group. That type of thing is what we want to see in the personal statement. Okay, so don't get too caught up going off topic about a story of you visiting a museum, for example. Try and keep it clear and concise, and talk about the specific strengths that you can bring to the university being one of our students. Hopefully that answers that question. And one more question here. How about the scholarship opportunities? So we have a number of scholarships at the University of Plymouth. They are dependent on the level of study that you're looking for. For example, if you are looking for an undergraduate scholarship, we currently offer 2 for the majority of our courses. Anna did stipulate this in the presentation, that depending on the school and the faculty which your course resides, they may or may not offer scholarships. So it's definitely something you can check on our website. But for the majority of our courses, our undergraduate programs, our lowest scholarship is a £2,000 per year scholarship. And our higher level scholarship, known as the International Excellence Scholarship, is a 50% tuition fee reduction. Okay, so our tuition fees entering into September 2022 will be £14,600 per year. Okay, and so for the first scholarship, that will bring it down to £14,600 per year, and £12,600 per year. And for the 50% reduction, that will reduce it by approximately £7,500. So do keep that in mind. All of our scholarships are academically focused, okay? So we will be looking at, for undergraduates, at your bachelor's, your high school degrees, the classes you've taken and the scores you've been achieving there. And for the master's programs, we will be looking at your previous bachelor's degree, which university you studied at, and the GPA you've achieved there. We do not look at, for example, I do see a question here asking about if they were looking at studying architecture for bachelor's, if we would look at the portfolio for that. Unfortunately not. The university's standard scholarships will typically look purely at your academic background. So I'm afraid, unfortunately, stuff like portfolio isn't really considered at that level. Okay, so I see there are 2 minutes left. Does anyone have any more questions? I think I've answered all of the questions that have come up so far. Let me just check the chat as well and see if anyone's asking any questions there. Nope. Okay, I think one's just come in. What is the maximum scholarship and is experience of work in diplomat note, high score in university internship effective scholarship? Okay, yes. So as I mentioned there, the maximum scholarship that the University of Plymouth awards is a 50% tuition fee. That is both the same for undergraduates and postgraduates, so masters and undergraduate levels. Okay, work experience. I would say typically for the scholarships, we would not look at work experience. It is primarily the academic background that we focus on. So unfortunately, no, at this stage, work experience and university internships, we wouldn't look at those as awardment for the scholarship. Okay, well, I believe that is it for the Q&A section here. I don't believe we've had any more questions at this point.
Yes, thank you very much for the presentation and your answers, Josh. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today. I hope it was informative. Of course, if you have any more questions, I believe you have Anna's email earlier, but if you're looking for the more generic questions that have been asked today, you can email us at international.office@plymouth.ac.uk, or you can visit our website where the majority of questions can be answered through searching there.
Yes, thank you. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well.
Sure.
Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. University of Plymouth ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için ekranda görmüş olduğunuz mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Umarız sizin açınızdan da faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Aynı zamanda sizi 6'daki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you very much again, Josh. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Yes, pleasure to meet you too, and have a great afternoon and evening, everyone.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.